I think today is the big day. We're gonna go ahead and get the combine out and the grain cart and take it up north. That way we're ready to cut when the beans are dry. That is one of the luxuries of soybean harvest, that you can kind of start later in the mornings. Not because you're being lazy, you just gotta wait on the soybeans to dry down. I'll explain that in a little bit. For now though, we're gonna get all of our soldiers in a row. And it's kind of chilly this morning. It's like 45 degrees when I woke up. The high today is around 80. So it's gonna be an interesting paradigm we have in the weather today. I'm taking advantage of the quote while the tractor's running up, moving into my office for the year. I carry a lot of baggage. There's definitely a lot more space in the cab of these tractors compared to the 8R. Looks like it wouldn't hurt to add 20 or 30 gallons to it just to top it off. Never know when you're gonna be back. It doesn't need very much fuel, and I'm really superstitious about leaving it and the fuel not kicking off when it's full and running over. So I'm gonna hurry into the other barn, get some stuff out. I need some window cleaner, an iPad mount, and a few other things to check off my list before I'm ready to take it to the field. Something's backing up. There's an iPad mount and a dry erase marker. Perfect. And the best in the business, John Deere Classic Glass Cleaner. That's the downside to these rock floors. All your clean equipment gets dirty every time you move something. Once again, we're shuffling the equipment around. Dad moved a corn head over with the 9670. Jeff's got one of the 9460Rs out. What we're doing here is hooking up our fire stop maker. It hasn't rained more than an inch in the last probably 6 to 7 weeks, so the ground's getting pretty dry. The crop is extremely dry, and it doesn't take much this time of year to turn a field of corn into a wildfire blazing across the countryside. We're going to leave one 9460R hooked up to a chisel plow because if something unfortunately does happen, someone's field, one of our fields or someone else's fields catches on fire, we'll have one ready to take to the field if we need to work it up. I'm going to get to work cleaning the windows. If I don't do it and they're dirty all fall, I'm going to regret it. Just hooked onto our older chisel plow. That combine's ready to hit the field, and I get to finish cleaning my windows. That's done. The windows are clean-ish, maybe. Doesn't take long around the grain cart, especially out in dusty corn and soybean fields, to really get dirty windows. Been sitting here trying to figure out how to calibrate the scales, and I realized I almost forgot something very important. That's my I messed up shovel. Hopefully I don't need it. Oh. Already started. Harvest 2020. We're gonna go ahead and leave that here. Chris is gonna take the draper up. Jeff's gonna take the semi, and I'm gonna take this combine. I don't think the beans will cut yet, and they usually don't this early in the morning, so we'll just move everything up. And then Katie is the operator of this combine, my sister. She's not here yet, but she's got 3 little hooligans to get to school and get to daycare, other responsibilities, and just coming out here and farming. So she'll be in the seat eventually. It's kind of convenient when we're cutting beans because you got a little bit of time in the morning to get some stuff done. Make sure she's in road gear. 3, okay. Ready to go. Very few jobs are as miserable on the farm as driving a combine down the road. I know it looks pretty sweet when you see a big harvester rolling down the road, but they are not fun to drive. Maybe like the first time you do it when you're a kid, but after you've done it for a few years, you kind of get over it pretty quickly. They're extremely wide and they don't maneuver that well, so kind of a pain. Plus this 9670 is not equipped with a backup camera here, so to see behind you all the way, you kind of have to do one of these. Jog your back end around, swerve a little bit, just so you can see cars. Chris is slowly getting head unhooked. Put it on. Chris was having a case of the Mondays getting the head unhooked from the trailer, and I was struggling to get it lined up right, but we both finally got our issues resolved. I'm not proud of how long it just took me to get this lined up correctly. For an experienced operator, that was a shameful amount of time, but it is a Monday. Look at that, it already knows what's hooked up. Let's make sure she runs. For those of you who are unexperienced with harvesting soybeans and other small grains, I probably know what's going across your mind right now. You're wondering, if they're ready to go, you've got the combines out here, why aren't you harvesting them yet? Well, they are ready to go, kind of. Soybeans are a very interesting beast, and the plants are ready. They're done with their life cycle. There's no more growth to be had. What we're waiting for is for these soybeans to dry down. Unlike corn, soybeans can pick up moisture overnight, and that moisture also makes them tougher. That means they're harder to harvest and harder for us to get a good sample out of the combine. At the elevator, they don't want wet beans. Anything over 13% moisture, you're going to end up getting docked and lose money on it. That's for 2 reasons. 1, high moisture crops are harder to store. Anything with more moisture is more risk for something going bad or rotten or off quality in some way or another. 2, the elevators are not interested in the moisture within the soybeans. They're here for the oil. Soybeans are an oil crop. That moisture is added weight that's unnecessary. And for us as farmers, extra weight's good because we get paid by weight. Bushels per acre. A bushel of soybeans is 60 pounds, but a bushel of wet soybeans may be 70 pounds. So to us, that's a great deal. To the elevators and end users who want these products, wet soybeans and corn really aren't the best thing because they're overpaying for what they have. Our job as farmers is to kind of flirt with that line between soybeans being too wet and too dry. Unlike corn, soybeans can actually get too dry during the day. In the morning, they may be 16-15% or so, and by the end of the day, if it's sunny, 85 and breezy like it's going to be today, they may get all the way down to 9%. At 9%, you've given up 4% of moisture to get to that target range. You're losing money. So that's something farmers constantly have to have in mind during harvest. In terms of harvestability, it's pretty easy to see how they're going to go. You can pull a pod off, see how tough it is, how hard it is to break those seeds out, or you can go about halfway down the plant and see if it'll bend. When it's kind of kinking over like that, it's going to give you a lot of problems processing. You really want to snap. If they're snapping, like that one snapped, that one snapped, they're going to process through the combine very easy. These combines are going through a lot of material, and the drier it is, the easier it is for them to go through it and make a clean sample. Chris just brought me back for my ride. I'm going to take this up too. Should be cutting these beans soon, I think. The grain cart's a little bit more friendly to take down the road. Plus I've got a camera behind me, so it makes my life a heck of a lot easier. The good news is my shovel made it the whole way, so I think it's going to make it the rest of the season. We're going to cut a sample here. Better run, Spider. Nobody rides for free. Chaffer 15, our bottom sieve at 8, concave clearance is 7, rotor's about 700 rotations per minute, that's okay, and fan is 1,000 rotations per minute. I'm going to slow that down a hair, probably go down to like 1050. And that's about where we want it to harvest. The only thing we have to keep an eye on out here in the field is the hydroflex pressure. The hydroflex pressure is basically the pressure that the platform has across it to allow it to bend and bow over different terrain. It's got constant pressure on the bar. If we start to have issues dragging up, that's usually the first place we look. Let's run some soybeans through this thing. The maiden voyage. Well, I guess the maiden voyage this year. Wow, these beans are already way too dry. We're gonna have to be really careful where we draw the line cutting around these replant soybeans. You can see out there in the grain tank, there's a few butter beans, as we call them, still green. And really, you don't want to send those to the elevator because if they get probed, you get your load docked, you can lose quite a bit of money. Because if most of the beans in the load are dry and a few wet ones ruin the test, you're gonna lose some money. I think everything's pretty much ready to go in the combine other than just keeping an eye on the head cutting height. There's its operator. It's gonna be a long day of cutting soybeans and we're zigzagging around all the replant out in this field. For the most part, the beans are gonna yield really well, but this replant's gonna drag us down. Just nothing we can do to handle the amount of rainfall we got earlier on this season, and then we got another dagger by not getting any rain in August. First dump of the year. Got my auto steer set up where I want it. Dumping combine number 2. Takes a moment to kind of mesh up with the different combines because they both have different auger lengths and harvesting speeds. Let's see if I can dump this without making a mess. First dump of the season. Wow. Just like riding a bike. Yes, I do give grain cart lessons. I'm like Uber Eats, except for my rig costs about $100 an hour to operate. This is why we can't have nice things. Some idiot leaves his door open in the middle of a soybean field. No wonder my allergies bother me. Jeez. And also, I'm gonna eat my lunch. I'm a good employee though. I'll shut the tractor off while I do it. An employee like me who shuts the tractor off while we're waiting on the combines to fill up, gotta be worth his weight in gold. Plus I need to eat my lunch. Also, I finally replaced my old 1-gallon jug that I broke like a couple weeks ago. Check that out. If you can guess why I picked this, it's not because I like tea. What do you guys use as your basis for establishing when it's fall? Is it pumpkin spice lattes, the calendar, harvest season? Really, it's harvest for me. Once the combines are rolling, it's fall. Plus also, it's kind of chilly in the mornings, and I wouldn't call 40-degree mornings summer here. I was just casually driving through the field, minding my own business, and my cover for the fan filter up there just bopped me in the head. Thank goodness it's soft. Just some decently long rows after we cut around all that stupid replant out there. It's gonna be a long year cutting around replant, but I think the beans that weren't replanted are gonna be pretty good. Crawling along just under 2 miles an hour. Letting Dad catch up to me here. Got my auto steer line set up. Usually unloads about 3.5, 3 3/4 speed wise. Let's calibrate the grain cart 5-point scales this load. We need to wait for this weight to kind of settle on a stopping point. Looks like 54,160 is going to be our gross. Then we'll record our net after we're done and then compare that to the elevator scales. So you keep a dry erase in your tractor and ground and windows. We're at 4820 empty, so that puts us at about 50,000 pounds of beans on there. If that's what looks like 50,000 to you. It's day one and I've already got a combine waiting on me. Not even 4 hours in and Katie's already started dragging up her head. Progress. And my shovel's still there. Just got a call from Jeff. The net weight on that load was 48,720. So that was the actual. And I have not had a moment to calculate what it actually was from the grain cart. So let's do that real quick. So it's 49,340. So it looks like the grain cart was maybe a hair over. So what we'll do is then divide that and get a calibration factor and go from there. The one thing I hate the most about the grain cart, especially with these Tier 4 engines we're running in these late, early 2010 model tractors, is that they're always regenning, like multiple times a day. And when it regens, you have to keep the engine running at a pretty high RPM or it's not going to successfully do it. And grain carting is something that you spend most of your time in a mid-range. I mean, I'm creeping around the field most days, 1,200 to 1,500 RPMs. So I have to intentionally shift all the way down to third gear here to get 3.5 at 2,080 RPMs. Silly. The combines are finally meeting in the middle of the field, so that means we're about done. That's a pretty inconvenient habit for the cart driver that they were on far sides of the field the entire time. When we get to corn harvest, that's not going to fly with me. Both combines are gone right now. Dad went into fuel. Katie went on to head to Windsor, which is about 30 miles, give or take, to the west of here. Pretty long drive in the combines and the tractors. I'm going to sit here till Jeff shows back up with a semi. I'm going to put the rest of what we have from this field on his truck. He's going to get in that head cart, take it over to Windsor, and I'm going to head over from here with the grain cart. Probably take me about 45 minutes or so to get over. We had to leave probably 15, give or take, percentage of this field just for the amount of replant out there. As I've said, the replant never matures at the same pace as the rest of the field. Dad just hit up my phone, told me that the keys to his pickup truck are in his pocket, back at the farm. Monday? Nothing. I guess this would be a good time to finish calibrating our scales. I kept track of a second load. I'm not really sure if you guys can see that, but basically the average error was about 98%, 0.987. So we've been weighing a little bit heavier than there actually was. So I go in here and there's already a calibration weight in here and I just take that times our 0.987 and it came out to 41,731. And that should move our scales closer to accurate. Truck's here, grain cart is empty. Move that latch out of the way, that way we can put the auger all the way down. She's ready for the road. See you guys in Windsor. I have arrived just about 40 minutes later. Right now we're opening up a 200-acre field of soybeans. We replanted about 30 or 40 acres in here, so I'm not quite sure if we're gonna have to cut around them or if we'll just be able to run through the combine. First try. Gonna be a beautiful night here out in the auger wagon, or grain cart, or chaser bin, or buggy, whatever you prefer. Jeff's in a hurry to get this load to the elevator. They close in 25 minutes. I just got off the phone with the boss. He said these soybeans right here are testing 9% moisture. It's 5:30 in the afternoon. I would say that we probably should have came and cut these beans first today. Oh well. past 6, so this is gonna be the last dump of the night. 58,000 on the cart. Dad's done cutting for the night. These beans are pretty dry, coming in 8-9% moisture. Testing over the scales 10%, so some of these replants we're cutting are probably kind of even them out a little bit. Park everything pretty far away from the road, that way no one comes over here and tampers with it. Sometimes there's nothing you can avoid. If someone wants to come out here, they probably will, but we did our best. Beautiful sunset. Slowly walking away from our steeds for the day. Harvest day 2. Cheers. A loaded cart means an early start, and by early I mean 10 o'clock. Still servicing the heads. Other than a wad of bean stubble underneath Dad's draper belt that he's working on fixing right now, everything's in pretty good shape. Just gotta wait on these beans to harden up a little bit, that way they'll cut easy and we're gonna hit the ground running again. Day 2. I have no idea what I'm doing right now. Please help me. See where we're at so far this morning. Came up easy, a little bit tough. Moisture check. Pretty dry. I'm afraid if I bite too hard on those, I'm gonna crack my teeth. That's kind of a quick field way to check your moisture, is just chew on them. I got a promotion this morning, or maybe this is a demotion. I'm not really sure. I just know that the combine is typically above my pay grade. It didn't take long. I got relieved, fired, demoted. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but back to my main job, catching combines. I think I'll get a tip for my delivery services today. Coming back empty-handed. Darn. I guess I'm getting some soybeans out of the deal. Delivery number 2. This is all I got out of that transaction, and he didn't even give me it. I found it on the ground. Lunch break. Got my entertainment center set up. My beautiful dog Murphy in the background. Very majestic pup. Got a pretty good cable management system going on. Everything that I don't want to step on is close to the window. Oh, darn it. There goes my bonus for the day. One of the combines stopped. Cracking into another big section of this field of soybeans. I've learned the hard way over time not to follow them through the field when they're opening it up, because there's really no rhyme or reason to what Dad's going to do when he goes around the field. So I just sit here until there's a clear point in which they're going to want to dump. Sometimes I'll follow him all the way around the field, and then he'll get to the end and won't even need to dump yet. So it's like, well, that was a waste of time. Cutting around all these replant soybeans has really slowed this field down. I guess if you use the calendar to determine when fall is, it starts today, September 22nd. Oh, there's a little midday stretch. Sitting in the tractor all day is not good for my posture. What happens when you leave the windows open? Everything is covered in bean dust. Darn it. The only thing worse than this mess that we have right here is that we're gonna have to come back here in probably the next 3 or 4 weeks and cut the rest of these beans that aren't ready. Not looking forward to that. I'll probably be sick that day. It's been an awfully exhausting afternoon for me. I mean, I had to move from being parked on the west end of the field to about halfway down the east side, just sitting in one place. I would say the combine drivers have probably about had enough of this field. I'd pencil maybe an hour, we should be headed back home. You can almost barely tell where I about buried the soybean planter to its axles when I was out here replanting one of these ponds. Well, I'm over here in Windsor, aka God's country, and I may have had my closest call of being stuck this year. Planter's a little bit muddy. Thought it was gonna be dry enough to get across the swampy area of the field. I've replanted a pretty big chunk out here already. They've had so much rain. I honestly didn't think I was gonna get out of there. Once you see the planter wheels start to sink in, you know you're in trouble. I just tossed on the diff lock and shifted down to about 4th gear and crawled out of it. Man, that was close. Think those beans will come up? Perfect. Surprise, surprise, the beans did not survive. Even just over the summer, really a lot of the ruts have kind of leveled out a little bit. Still about 8 inches off. Not gonna be our best field. I'm happy to announce that we are finally done with this field for today. Dad's cleaning off some cat beans. That's what happens when you make a mess. We're unhooking the heads, getting ready to head home. Guaranteed both the combines are gonna need fuel. Grain cart though, I've only used like 2/10 of a tank of fuel, so maybe 70 gallons. I could probably run a week with this thing cutting beans and not run out of a tank. It'd be nice to hook up one of these heads to the back of the combine, but that's just not the way we operate. There's risks associated with that, especially when we're heading down a road with a lot of traffic. Family bonding. If you get stuck behind our convoy, sorry, nothing we can do. Happy harvest. Ah, home sweet home. And a very peculiar thing happened. Once I got into the country road, there's about a 15-mile stretch there where I did not have a single car behind me. Might be good luck tonight. Although I did have this combine behind me, and maybe that was blocking traffic, I don't know. I'm gonna let her get fuel first because our fuel pump's not necessarily the fastest. It'll take 10 or 15 minutes to top her combine off. I didn't use that much fuel, and really the grain cart's not as important as the combine, so I'll wait my turn in line. All the troops are back at base except for the trucks. This gal's special. She takes the old government juice for that nice clean air coming out of the exhaust pipe. So pure you could breathe it. Sipping on that pink drink. Nom 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 nom. Huh. I'd say the sticker's been on for about 6 years too long. No, I think we'll bring combine down the morning trial. Our scouting revealed that we have a few fields that we think are going to be close enough that we can take the combines down tomorrow and test them out. Our first 2 days of harvest have been rather uneventful, which is a great thing. An uneventful day is a good day. I'm locking the grain cart up for the night. That's probably enough farming for one video. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate your support. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment if you have any questions. I love to talk about farming. Have a great night, everyone. Peace!